you don't give me this player at this price, I will tell every one of our managers and coaches in our systems to tell all the players to stay away from you because I won't deal with you.
There was a 1992 San Diego Union Tribune article on you. It said, give him an ounce of leverage, general managers say, and Boras will spin it into a ton of gold. How even back then?
Well, remember, what they're talking about is the awareness of talent. It's not leverage. And they view that as being forced. I view it as just bringing to light what you already knew in the first place. It's just that we're bringing it to the forefront so that you really have a greater appreciation of something that you really need to succeed and achieve your goals.
And I've been told almost nobody explains better value versus money than you.
A lot of times, particularly with very successful men who buy these teams, you sit down with them and you say, what do you want from the game? What is it you want? And generally they say, we want to win the championship. And I'm saying, what are you willing to do to win a championship? There's always a personal sacrifice that comes with this in your decision making. Because when you want the best players to achieve the best result, and you know it's talent that does this, what are you willing to do to really acquire that best talent?
Your preparation for that meeting entails what?
Again, you talk to people why they're successful and what they do, and it always comes to a moment where they did something that others wouldn't do. I can give you chapter and verse of so many decisions made in this game where people initially said, this is a grand mistake. And I remember Mike Ilitch in Detroit. They lost 119 games. And Mike flew out to meet with me and goes like, what do we have to do? And I go, Mike, American players don't want to play in Detroit. Really? I said, yeah, you built a beautiful ballpark. It's a gap hitter's ballpark. I have a player from Caracas that doesn't mind playing in Detroit. I have a player from San Juan, Puerto Rico that doesn't mind playing in Detroit, and they're gap hitters. Sign these guys, and we'll build the foundation. That was the idea. He signed Pudge and Maglio, and then we ended up putting 5 or 6 more players there. And 3 years later, he's in the World Series. And he was absolutely, the media and everyone just really made it appear as though he had made fundamental mistakes in acquiring those players.
I've been told that you have good instincts on the circumstances surrounding you. Take as example the Carlos Correa deal. You land in Texas, you don't have really anything at the time, and 4 hours later you have basically a deal done on a 9-figure deal.
I'd known Carlos since he was 16, 17. He's a player I have great trust in. And he called me on the phone and he goes, look, I'm around a lot of Hollywood type people that represent me now. I don't know how I got there. I know you know me. I know you know the game. He goes, they can't figure out where to put me. And I said, I need a bridge contract with you because you're young, but no one's going to want to give you the length of contract because you're hurt. Let me get you some guarantee, but let me also get you contract flexibility. And I created in the A-Rod the opt-out. Of course, no one had ever heard of the opt-out, and which goes back to my pharmaceutical background because they have opt-outs and contracts and things. So I apply it to baseball. And we did. And so I then, to Carlos, I said, look, I had this in A-Rod's contract. I'm going to get you a bridge contract and go to the team. No long-term contract needed. Instead of you're seeking $200 million, they're going to pay you $100 million, but they're going to give you an opt-out after every year. I said, this works well for the team, and it works well for you. And so once we put them in the marketplace with that structure, then the teams said, oh, I don't have to spend the 200, I only have to spend the 100. And I said, for you at your age, our performance gradients on you is that you're going to have a great season, and your probability of having great seasons within this age bracket of these 2 or 3 years allows you the potential to revisit the market where you're going to be healthy, and you're also going to be someone that's going to be in great demand. And of course, did the bridge contract, and then the next year he signed a contract that was well within the market of what he was worth.
Tell about the owner who fell asleep in the negotiating session.
It was actually a general manager. It's 2:30 in the morning, and we're going through a negotiation, and the owner's there. And I bet you the general manager had been up for, his sleep had been rare. It's the winter meetings, and he's negotiating with not only myself, but with many others. And all of a sudden, we hear snoring going on. And I said, look, just let him sleep for a while. We'll talk. I'll leave, and you discuss what we discussed. We'll get our notes together. But he's had a long moment of time. But you have events, because when I first started in this process, drinking, which is something I don't do when I'm talking with teams, and that didn't go over so well initially, because they wanted you to sit down and sit with the boys late at night, write notes on a napkin and drink. And I'm going, look, I'm a lawyer. I am not going to conduct what are really life-changing events for my clients and be drinking and doing things with you. And they would look at me like, who are you? And it would irritate them. And I just said, look, just think if it's your son. Do you want the guy's representative in there socializing and drinking with you to do it? And it was just very foreign. So you had to bring the process. The gates of representation in the 80s were closed to the idea, my way or the highway. And the threatening that came with it, you don't give me this player at this price, I will tell every one of our managers and coaches in our systems to tell all the players to stay away from you because I won't deal with you. And I go, that can't be true. I said, why? Because you're about talent. You always have to pursue the best talent. And if you don't, you're going to lose your job. I mean, I had situations where early on where the general manager said, come to town, we're going to have a meeting. Okay. I come there, show up at 9 o'clock. His secretary, I'm sorry, he has an emergency. I wait there till 4, we're really sorry. I come back the next day, 9 o'clock. He's really this has not resolved itself. He's there, he's gonna get to you. Just wait, da-da-da. So finally I go downstairs and I see the security guard in the building and I go, hey, Mr. So-and-so? And he goes, yeah, he's using the employees elevator, the servicing elevator. He's not using the main elevator. He's going back and forth. So I flew home. And he goes, hey, you flew home. I'm ready to meet with you, day 3. I go, I'm going to meet with you. I'll meet with you in the arbitration hearing. That's when I'm going to meet with you. And then, of course, his owner calls me, and I tell him what happened. And the owner invited me to come meet with him. And then we sat down and worked out the deal. And the GM called me and goes, I would have never given you that deal. I would have done that kind of thing. And I said, hey, your owner called me. And I go, I did what I was supposed to do. And so then I called the owner. I said, hey, your GM said this about you. Just so you know, I wouldn't want people under my employ ever doing that to me. And within a matter of months, they changed GMs.